Do video games make you an antisocial basement troll? Let's find out. What's up, human beings? Welcome to another commentary video on the Games and Groceries channel. Before we start, I want to quickly plug that we went to the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo and we actually got some art for the channel. And I just want to plug the artists and support them. So first we have this Animal Crossing in the design of Grand Theft Auto. So I thought that was really nice and cute. And that was done by Joe Hogan. Again, I'm going to have he has an Etsy shop. So I'm going to link that in the description. We also have the Konami code, which was done by Ryan Wood. Ryan Wood did this Konami code. It's very minimalist art. I very much liked it. So definitely want to support him. His Instagram will be in the description. And finally, I don't have a frame for it yet, but we have this Spider-Man tie-dye I thought was really cool. That was done by Fat Guy Inc. So I'll have his Instagram down in the description below. So definitely support those artists.
All three had amazing art.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into it. All right, so here we have the Roommates podcast, which just recently they did an argument saying that like video games and anime ruined your life. First, let's talk about his intro first.
It's kind of a funny but a little bit more serious video, and it's about video games and anime ruining people's lives, especially young men.
Our dog has joined the conversation. First and foremost, we're not really going to talk about anime just because we're not really anime people. There's not much we can argue for. So we're not going to really touch on his anime arguments. We're more going to touch on his gaming arguments. And he said it's a more serious topic. And he says, especially once again, for young men. Young men can't be playing games in their basement anymore. So then he talks about the games that he played as a kid. And once again, these arguments come out of playing your basic video games.
I love playing RuneScape, and I love playing Halo and Madden and NCAA. I love it.
So again, people who make this argument, they play, well, he did say he played RuneScape. Mm-hmm. That is good that he did play a really good MMO, but he also mentioned Halo, Madden, NCAA. Nothing wrong. You're still a gamer if you still play this, but he puts himself on this platform saying, I am the expert of gaming because I played Halo, I played Madden, and I played NCAA and RuneScape.
Yeah, whereas instead he kind of more comes off as just a regular kid who played those games back then.
So that's where he's coming from in this point. So then he starts to talk about how gamers don't necessarily have social skills outside of their parents' basement. So let's get into his discussion. Once again, I don't want to harp on this guy personally. I think it's a little bit unfair that he doesn't have a chance to respond to my response. So I don't want to go in this venomously, but I want to clarify what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of these guys are trying to meet women, they're trying to make friends, they're trying to interact with people, but they can't. You know why? They don't have the social skills. Because we all know what happens. When you're a kid, I understand you don't fit in. I understand that, life sucks, your mom is always on your case, people are picking on you in school. So what do? We go to a fantasy universe, right?
So again, he's arguing once again that gamers, generalizing here, gamers generally don't have social skills and they try to interact with people and they can't. What people though? What groups of people? Again, I work with high schoolers and high schoolers naturally form cliques. That's just what happens. You have similar interests, and because of those similar interests, you kind of bond to people who have those similar interests. I want to know from Hafeez right here, what kind of people are we trying to interact with here?
It's the natural human way to connect with people who have common interests. You wouldn't necessarily be friends with someone that you have zero things in common with.
I just want to know, like, he says that we have no interaction skills, but at the same time, that's generalizing of human beings, right? Mm-hmm. Like, every human being needs to interact with every human being, and that's just not realistic. So then he goes forward to say this.
Then we start playing video games. And like I said, it's dope, right? It's dope. I think that I don't play games anymore, but everyone's playing like Overwatch, and some people playing Call of Duty and all types of games people are playing nowadays. And it's fun. But then a lot of these kids, that's all they do. That's all I'll be honest with you, sometimes what I did, and you just stay at home all day long and you never go outside. And don't let me get on what you guys are doing at night. Like, let's not go there. That's a whole other video.
So then he goes forward to say that gamers, all gamers, everybody that plays video games, they don't know how to go outside. They don't know how to play sports or anything like that. It's impossible to like video games and have other hobbies and interests too. The other part is, I would like to know these gamers' home life. Again, working with teenagers at my job, you get to know what their home life is like, and to blame video games is almost like a cop-out so that you don't look at the bigger issues here. Most of the issues are within the home. Your social skills are learned from your family, from your home life. So in the way of antisocial, in the way Hafeez is saying, a lot of the times their families are antisocial, or their families have brought them down. They've manipulated them to think that you don't have any kind of worth, or you don't have any worth outside of this home. So it really is not just video games. Video games are merely the medicine to kind of, in their minds, cure what their home life is going off of. So for him to say that video games are the cause, there's a lot of different factors that we can go off of. Why are you antisocial? It's not because of video games. It's because of many, many different factors. And I know I only listed 2, but there are general statements here.
I want to know what his explanation would be for me, because
Yeah.
I wasn't a gamer, and according to him, it kind of feels like I had that same behavior.
It's kind of a general blanket statement that he's saying that video games are the reason that you're not going outside. Video games are the reason that you're not socially aware. And that's more of a cop-out than anything else. And I understand where he's coming from. I do. I really do. I understand where he's coming from. But at the same time, it's ignoring the bigger factors at hand. Then he has this to say.
You become more and more isolated from people. But then, like I said, you still want to connect, and you still want to network, and you still want to build, but you don't have the skills now to do so. You've been watching anime. You've seen all the awkward, weird loser kids. No offense to all the main characters in anime, but we know what kind of guys they are, right? Get these amazing, beautiful girls, and we think that's gonna be us, and we fantasize about the girl in school and the girl in our class, you know, and one day she's gonna notice us, and she's gonna fall in love with us and not date the loser bad guy who's totally doing her wrong. But it never happens.
I really don't want to be venomous in this argument, but he starts talking about who you should date. It comes off very shallow, saying that like you need to date a supermodel. You want to date that beautiful girl that, like perfect body, and you can't because you don't have the social skills. That's really putting your standards of women at an unhealthy level, because now you're generally saying that the only way you're successful at dating is if she's, by American standards, gorgeous supermodel. And that's not a healthy way to date somebody or to build that sort of relationship.
He's explaining it as like the prettiest girl in school,
Right.
which I don't even agree is a thing.
You were.
Oh, you're so cute.
Married.
But I don't believe that that's a thing, that there's one perfect girl in the whole school. She's the prettiest girl in school. Because everyone has their own ideas of beautiful. Like, I think Adam is extremely good looking. He's handsome. But someone else might not. He thinks I'm pretty, but someone else might not. There are people that we don't find attractive that other people do. So to say that like you need this supermodel girlfriend is unrealistic, because some gamers might not even find her attractive.
So I do agree with him in the way of what he's trying to say. That you don't have the social skills to talk to girls. But again, I keep bringing this up, and I'm not trying to be the expert of teenagers here, but I've been a teenager. I work with teenagers. I see the way teenagers react. That's just hormones. You don't know what you're doing with yourself, and it's so awkward. So when you try to talk to a girl, everything goes into your head. You're thinking about the zits on your forehead. Again, this has nothing to do with video games. This has everything to do with how horrible it is to go through puberty. Like it's awful. But that's the thing. I think he's putting the cop out on video games when he's not looking at the bigger picture here, where that's just puberty. And again, that's might be your home life.
Not even the extreme points of a bad home life, if you come from other people who are socially awkward, who aren't comfortable in public, or who are homebodies, then you're naturally going to be that way.
So then we come to the biggest arguments.
Our favorite part.
Let's just watch it. Here you go.
We still have to live and we still have to function in the real world. And a lot of people, after just years of spending all their time watching anime and playing video games, they can't function in the real world. And they're struggling. And a lot of these guys are lonely and isolated. And as much as the freaking guy on the headset talking to you from Norway is a good friend for you, you still need human to human company. You still need people to people interaction. Because as you know, the number one way they punish people in prison is through solitary confinement.
Yikes! Solitary confinement. He's comparing your online gaming to solitary confinement. Hafeez, again, I'm trying to be friendly here and just make a polite response. But you know what they don't have in prison? You know what they don't have in solitary confinement in prison? Headsets with a dude in Norway. You have zero human interactions. And to say that your friend back in Norway isn't a real friend, again, I used to think this. I used to think that, yeah, online friends aren't really real. But ever since doing this podcast or ever since doing this YouTube channel, I'm making more friends online and through Discord and through other podcasters than I ever have before, and I feel like our connection is pretty tight. I don't want to speak for Co-op the Podcast or Good Game, Great Game or the story, Greatest Story Ever Played podcast or Overachievers podcast or Playable Characters podcast.
He's just showing off how many friends he has now.
All of this to say is that like that social interaction on that online game is still human interaction. Again, I know where he's coming from to say that you need face-to-face person interaction, right? And I kind of agree with him there, but it's to say that the only interaction that counts is human interaction. But if you only do online interaction, it's the same thing as prison level solitary confinement.
To say that sitting on your couch playing video games with friends from all over the country or the world is like solitary confinement is, again, a little far-fetched. You're stretching it a little too thin.
Again, Hafeez, I understand where you're coming from. I do. I really do.
Yes,
but
definitely.
I think your misunderstanding of what it's like to do online gaming and interacting with the person on the other side of the headphones, because he says in his video, which by the way, I have linked in the description down below. Please watch his video. Don't just take our word because we're cutting out big chunks of his video. So watch the whole thing in the description down below. He says in his video that he hasn't gamed since he was a kid. So I don't think he understands what it's like, because I didn't understand until I was actually doing it. So then he goes into like a nice little segment here, which is, I think, what he's been trying to say in his whole video.
So my challenge to all the gamers out there, my challenge to all the anime heads out there, to all the young guys who love it, it's all about balance. Because like I said, I love the games, I love the animes, I did it, but I had balance. I still went outside and played. I still connected with friends. I still try to play sports and get good at it. I still unsuccessfully trying to talk to girls and build skills and build up confidence. You gotta create balance in your life.
So that's where his point is trying to come across. You need balance in your life, which I wholeheartedly agree with. The reason why we named this Games and Groceries is you need balance in your life. You have your adult responsibilities of groceries, but you also have your hobby of video games. If you forget your hobby of video games, you go nuts. And if you forget your adult responsibilities, you go hungry. It's just about that balance in your life to say that, yeah, I love video games, but I also need to buy groceries.
Yeah.
So I understand that the whole point of this video is to say that video games don't ruin lives. Anime doesn't ruin lives, but if you don't create balance in your life, if you don't create priorities in your life, it has the potential to ruin your life. So I think that's what he's going off of, but the whole video made it seem that if you play any sort of video games, you're in the wrong.
Like we said, we agree there should always be a balance between whatever your hobby is and the rest of your life. But the way he is describing gamers is creatures who can't do anything for themselves and have zero social skills and can't find a mate in life, let alone a friend. And it's just in those places where we get off track with each other.
I also have a scientific journal linked down in the description down below. I definitely want you to give that a read. It's very interesting. It's only 2 pages long, but it's a study in Austria to say that RPGs, role-playing games, have been around for centuries, and 2, they've been the basis on social interaction. And in fact, they say that computer video games will actually give you a safe environment to build those social skills without the repercussions that real life has. A lot like Mass Effect, you have those moral choices to make. KOTOR, you have those moral choices to make. There's a lot of different RPGs out there. There's a lot of different video games that actually give you those social interactions of teaching and getting to know humans better as if you're aliens. Yikes. Go Adam. All right.
Getting to know other people's tendencies and noticing them and taking social cues. That's what it teaches you. It teaches you social cues.
Yeah. Just a real clip. Games have long provided a structured environment for quickly learning complex behaviors. Most games used in a professional context fall into the following categories: teaching, training, operations research, therapy, and entertainment. So yeah, I like this study done. I like this journal to say that, yeah, RPGs can actually give you social interactions without the repercussions of the real world if you don't know those social interactions. So to say that video games cause antisocial behaviors, I think some can. Like, there's a possibility, but we're not looking at the bigger picture. We're not looking at the home life. We're not looking at the mental state. We're not looking at mental health here. We're not looking at anything else. We're just saying video games, antisocial behavior, you're a basement troll. Got it. And I think that's just a cop-out for the real argument at hand. So, brief closing thoughts. I think Hafeez is a very nice person. I think in his heart, what he was trying to do is trying to help people. In fact, at the end of this video, he says his DMs are open. Please don't harass him. He's open to talking with people, to help people, to make sure that you get that social behavior down. I think he's in it to help people, but I think he's misunderstanding what video games do for people, how it actually makes people click with each other. Again, we just came back from Long Island Retro Gaming Expo. It was just this weekend of people who had the same social interest, getting together, making friends. In fact, I made a lot of friends at the Long Island Gaming Retro that I would have never interacted with other than, oh, you like retro games? I like retro games. Let's talk. And then we just talked about other things. Games are that intro into that conversation, into that relationship. And I think that's what Hafeez is kind of misunderstanding there, because he hasn't been in the video game world in a long time. A lot has changed from what I can guess. If he's saying RuneScape and Halo, I'm going to say he hasn't played games in 15 years. So again, I have his video linked in the description below. Definitely give it a watch because we did cut out chunks, so I want you to hear his arguments. The reason why we cut out chunks is so, oh, what else does he have to say? Give him some views, man.
If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and share. Let us know what you think in the comments, and please consider subscribing to the channel.
See you in the next video.